You know, I was thinking about the other day.
That is going to happen to you, and your son's going to be horrible.
Yeah. Think about the shit that we dealt with in high school. That we're like the last generation to ever experience that.
You mean bullying and stuff?
I mean, well, that was kind of on its way out.
My son has not really been
Then,
bullied.
but yeah, but I mean, like, we didn't have social media when we were in high school.
Oh, thank God. So much trouble would have happened.
Internet porn wasn't really a thing yet. I mean, it was a thing, but it was like you
had to wait 20 minutes for image to.
See, now I was going to say, listen,
it'd be pixely.
I sold porn now, so don't you go lying.
Right, but I'm just saying, it wasn't like, it wasn't Pornhub.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
YouPorn
and 4K fucking video.
Right.
Like I can, go back and forth, see what the scene's going to be. I just have to just fast forward and be like, oh, that sucks.
You wait an hour for 2 minutes to load, and you're like getting something off of LimeWire, and the next thing you know, you get a virus, and you're like, gotta freaking reboot your Windows.
Until I got fucking sued by Kazaa.
Yep.
I was one of the first houses in my neighborhood to get DSL. So like all the friends wanted to come over and download stuff. DSL. What was it? Napster, right?
Yep.
And, so yeah, I was one of the first houses because remember that that 46 dial-up, that 46K freaking dial-up connection. You download something, you see it's like, oh, come back come
back in a few hours.
Yeah, 48 hours, something crazy.
Like it's a 3-minute fucking song.
I know it was bizarre, but yeah, technology in general. I'm 36.
Me too.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think I even joined Facebook until like 2009, 2010. I had already been graduated for 7 years.
Somebody gave it to me. Somebody did it for me. I was like, what is this Facebook thing? And they're like, oh man, you want me to set you up? And I'm like, okay. And I don't know if you saw it. It's just a picture of me smiling from something I had. And everybody's made fun of that picture many times. But I think I did mine like in 2007. And it was like...
Well, at first you had to be like a college student.
Yeah, it was only college initially.
Yeah.
And I remember my college friends were like, hey, you want to... Like, are you on Facebook? I'm like, nah. And I'm like, oh, I said, well, I also don't have a computer. I can't afford a computer right now. And so it was like, I was like, because I didn't stay on campus. I should have did, but I was like, I lived off campus or whatever, but I paid for everything. And so for as long as I kept hearing about this Facebook thing, I was like, it must be just something, something... just intertwined between a few colleges or whatever. And then all of a sudden it became this big thing. And like you said, fucking all of a sudden it took over. And I was like, I don't even know what this... Like I had a MySpace. I had literally just learned how to put music on MySpace before MySpace stopped becoming like the cool thing.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was putting songs and I'm like, oh, should I made a little playlist? I even tried to like holler at a couple of girls. I was like, I'm not good at this. I was like, I don't know what this is. And then I was like, well, let me jump on this Facebook. And I was like, all right, I can put pictures. It's easier. It's easier to put pictures of music on there.
It did flow better.
But see, that's why I used to tell people all the time, because a lot of the parents, they're like, oh, I don't understand these kids. They're killing themselves or hurting themselves. Or just turn the phone off. I was like, and it's taken me a while because I was like, yeah, just fucking turn the phone off and go outside. I was like, but if all my friends, all of them, were on their phone and then contacting each other like, hey, you want to go to the party? Like, I remember I didn't have a phone. Like, and you still had the minutes, like the singular and shit like that. Like, you had to wait tonight, all that, and you had your minutes. I didn't have a phone for like, my friends got a phone a year before I did. And I used to miss out on so much stuff. And they'd be like, oh, shit, we forgot to call you. I was like, well, yeah. They're like, well, we called your house and you weren't there. I was like, but... you could have just dropped. Remember we used to walk by each other? And like, nah, man, we got phones. So they're like, and then I'd be hearing them having fun. I'm like, oh man, I can't text you. Oh, I text you this. Oh man, I'm running out of text. I ran out of text.
Get the prepaid card?
Yeah. And then it was funny because like, then my stepsister, she got a job at Singular, and I got a fucking the black phone and a lime green. And I was like, oh, I'm in the game now, baby. I'm not about to get left out of anything. But like I said, that year before, I felt so fucking left out, and I was like, this sucks. And it was just texting and calling each other.
Yeah. It's funny, though, if you think about it, because we're all old enough to remember pre-cell phones, at least pre-cell phones to where, like, every person had one, And it's like, life was still super easy and, like, smooth, like, to get a hold of your friends and to hang out. There was no obstacle because we didn't have a cell phone. Like, if you were to take cell phones away from people today, we would be like shut down. Like we wouldn't know how to even reach each other or communicate.
This TikTok addiction alone,
like it's just crazy how without all the social media and all the technology years ago, life was still great.
How many phone numbers do you remember by heart right now?
I forget my own phone number.
I used to be the shit. I remember phone guys. I remember I would have friends. They would get numbers from girls. They'd be like, "Hey, Michael, can you remember this number real quick?" And I go, come on, man, I'm checking my own number. Like, come on. All right, go ahead. And then I could throw another number on that on top of the numbers that I knew. And they'd come to me to remember numbers. I was like, oh man, this is fucking awesome.
That was literally brought up the other day. I guess it wasn't us talking about it. I literally was talking to somebody the other day. I was like, dude, you used to be able to remember like 30 phone numbers off the top of your head.
Important numbers. Important numbers right now.
No, you did tell me about that.
Was that us?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Like I know my dad's number. It hasn't. My dad and my aunt's number have not changed in like 30 years. So I know those two. My mother, she lives down the street from me. I know her home phone number because, again, that hasn't changed in like 20 plus years. Her cell phone number, it is simple. It's like, I'm not going to say it, but it's like kind of the same number repeated. And I'm like, I always get around, is it 443? Hold on. I got it. And I've called multiple people while trying to call my mother. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, you're not my mom. And I called somebody. I mean, now it's saved in my phone, but I tried to call it. Like, all right, let me just put it in. Oh, listen, I know my wife's phone number. I know my wife's phone number, but it's like 3 numbers out of 100 plus numbers I have in my phone that I was like, couldn't tell you how to call
I used
people.
to carry around, like, I took a sheet of paper and write everybody's name and phone number on it.
Really?
And like took that packaging tape, clear packaging tape, and laminated it, and then I folded it up into like a nice little square and put it. It was like my little phone book. I'm like, hold on, can I borrow your phone? Yeah, let me call.
My mom still has a Rolodex, and it's funny because whenever I forget something, I'm like, hey mom, do you have the number? Go check the Rolodex, and it's just like it's still. And I'm like, and the number still works because it's like basically mostly old people in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, this number still works. That's amazing. I was like, Mom, when'd you get this Rolodex? She was like, 1989. It was like, oh, okay, well, I don't remember shit.
It's hilarious. Sorry.
No, you're good.
It's hilarious if you think about it, and maybe it's not hilarious because it kind of makes people our age realize that we maybe are getting a little older, or we've at least experienced stuff from an older generation
It makes me think we fucked up.
of things that no longer exist. Like, it's pretty crazy. Like, at one point in time, you had like a separate device that hooked up to your home phone that would tell you who's calling. It's like today, if you were to tell a kid that, they'd be like, okay, like I have a cell phone that tells us like anything, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, it tells exactly the status call.
We thought it was like super cool. I mean, you know, somebody's freaking calling. Oh, I can see who's calling, or you don't answer, or, you know, whatever. It's, you know, it's just hilarious, like, thinking back the stuff that we went through, where, like, to make a kid today even understand it, it's like
Star 69, Star 67.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
he used them all.
Wait, which one was the one that blocked your number when you called somebody?
Star 67.
Was it that one? Yeah.
Star 69 calls the last person to call you back.
Yeah, because you could prank call somebody and you press star 67, but then it got fucked up with caller ID.
Yep.
I'm like, hey, I remember somebody told my friend, like, hey, you little bitch. Yeah. I see your number. It's like, I'm going to call your parents.
Dude.
We hung up. I was like, oh, shit. You fucked this up.
Years ago, we used to call in the TRL.
Really?
And talk shit.
shit.
Yeah. Who the hell was before Carson Daly?
I couldn't
Oh
remember.
my God.
Because Carson Daly ran that for like
Yeah,
I'm talking like, this must have been like early 90s. Oh, what was his name? Dave something.
Oh, the little rocker dude, kind of fat guy. Was he bald?
Oh, was he bald?
Because remember you had Kurt Loder.
Bill Bellamine.
Oh, Bill Bellamy.
Bill Bellamy.
But see, at the time, remember they had what they were called VJs. So you had Bill Bellamy, you had a bunch of people, and they would all like kind of share the airway. But that was like the thing, because, you know, MTV was the only thing going, or the most popular thing. And it's funny.
You could easily call in and get a hold of these people too on TV at that point.
Oh man, if you just were willing to wait. Oh man, I remember I tried that with the radio one time. And I got in, like, I waited 2 hours and I got in, and I was like, oh, shit, and I got the question wrong immediately. I was like, God damn it. And they were like, all right, bye. And I was like, no. That was the thing. Oh.
Yeah, top 5 at 8.
You ever see the videos where they give the kids now, like a fucking, what's the phone? Where you go,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like the rotary phone?
Rotary phone. Yeah, there you go. And they're like, hey, they're like, make a call, and they're like, where do you touch? And they're like, And it's funny because the parents are just laughing their ass off. And they're around our age. It's not even like, oh, it's a 50-year-old talk. That's
Right.
like our age talking to kids, and they're like, they're pushing buttons, and they're like, that's not how it works. They're like, we'll give you $100 if you can figure this out.
Yeah.
And then they just go to YouTube, like, nope, you can't use YouTube. You got to figure this out. They're like, call 911. They're like, oh, fuck. I was like, damn.
You had to have,
That is
have been,
amazing.
yeah. You had to have like had a grandparent or somebody who physically had that phone
You remember
to
the
understand
extra
it.
long cord that
Yeah.
everybody tripped over and got somebody and
Yeah.
got in trouble for? I remember my grandmother had that. I was like, this cord is like 20 feet long.
Yeah, and to be knotted up
And
several
that-
times.
Listen, and that was the thing. I was like, hey, you want to be able to talk outside the room, outside the kitchen, huh, ladies? And they give them 20-foot cord. And then they had the, if you were real fancy, they had the little things that help not make it knot up. And I was like,
Or you could pick up another phone in the same house and listen.
oh, man, listen.
My little sister used to do that all the time. Get the fuck off.
Listen, I would listen to my older cousin, like my sisters. I'm like, oh, they were saying nasty stuff. Because you had to hold down the receiver and then you just go,
Yeah, you got to make it quieter. You
yeah. I was
you
like,
can hear
yeah.
the-
You can hear that click.
Yeah.
And then they came out with the first portable phones. The battery would last like 20 minutes,
Oh, man.
and all of a sudden be like, beep,
I remember my mom said she had
beep. You're like, oh, it's gonna die.
my mom said she had a boyfriend who had one of those the actual cell phone, but with that big ass cancer causing
yeah.
pack. And she's like, it looked cool when she first saw him, and then as she's like started dating him, she was like, you just got like a man purse with a big ass
Phone.
Yeah, it was like a big, and it was like she was like, yeah, it had no battery life, and you could only call other people who had that. So
Yeah.
it wasn't even like, oh, I can call landline. It was like, nope, you can only call cell phone to cell phone.
Right. It was like those Mercedes that came with like
Oh,
that big
man.
bulky freaking phone in the center console.
My dad had one that he could call businesses and stuff, but like the service was terrible. He'd have to like get
yeah.
on top of a mountain and be like,
And you had to be still, windows up, all that.
you couldn't be driving, and it'd be like, boop. And he'd sit there and dial and play like through the stereo.
Oh, I know you gotta go, right? Or something
No,
like
I'm
that.
not. I actually, no, I'm good for a while.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to my girlfriend's house tomorrow night instead.
Hey, more
Um,
power to you, sir. I haven't had a girlfriend in quite some time. Mainly because I'm married.
It's usually a good reason.
Yeah, listen, she used to be
Yeah.
my girlfriend. I like saying that. I'm like, hey, you ever hear from my ex? And she's like, what? I was like, yeah, man, she was a bad motherfucker. And then, I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm talking about you. Like, what do you mean it used to be? Nah, baby, you just more beautiful now. You're more fine. But I just love saying that. Like, I saw that on a TikTok. And the guy was talking about his ex, and then she was like, and she came up and slapped him. He was like, I'm talking about you, asshole. We're married now. I was like, she's like, you're not my girlfriend, you're my wife,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
technically you're my ex. She's like, that's not how it works.
That was another thing I was thinking about was cars. Like, kids don't give a shit about their cars anymore. Like, they don't put rims on them and stereos and subwoofers in the trunk.
I
and-
used to save up my money.
oh yeah, I blew all my money.
I was like,
on my car.
you had a gang of cars, but I had my first one. I remember because didn't you have a Camaro?
Yeah, I had a Camaro.
I was like, but because of the hatchback, and I remember I had to find the perfect speaker for that hatchback. Also, I didn't have enough money to like make a box and all that. So
Well, they sold a box kit that sat flush down in that little odd,
not at the
hole.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a weird
Like,
hole.
what goes in there? Oh, there's a speaker box.
I had to buy.
Perfectly.
I had to buy.
T-tops.
I bought
Sit
a
there.
I didn't have
triangle
T-tops.
Autobahn, a triangle Autobahn 12-inch, and it was perfect. And it wasn't supposed to sit there, but it just fit perfectly. And I remember I blew out the first amp. I was like, oh, I need a little bit more. And then I went to put in speakers. Mind you, this is like a fucking 10-year-old car. I'm not taking care of it. I need tires and brakes, but I'm spending money on the
stereo,
fucking
yeah,
stereo.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I walked out. I spent $500, and I felt good. Walked out of Circuit City. Yep. I walked out of Circuit City, and I played my favorite bass song. I was like, yeah. I had my cousin and my girlfriend. I was like, you hear it, motherfucker, sliding in the rain and shit. Like, don't worry about all that.
You know,
You see it.
it's funny. Another thing that I was actually thinking about earlier today, I don't know why it just hit me. You said about not taking care of your car, not having the money. And it's funny. I remember years ago, 16, 17, having a car, it wasn't brand new. I bet, no matter what, it was like your pride and joy.
It was brand new to
You did
you.
whatever you could. You spray paint some of the rusty spots. You're sitting there with the Bondo kit, you're
Oh,
pulling
yeah.
out some dents, you're putting subwoofers in. But, today you can go on like Facebook Marketplace and like buy parts and stuff like that. Dude, I remember living in the salvage yards. Like I would go to the salvage yards and just pull the freaking parts off that I need. Like, you know, go ahead. Sorry. I don't
No, I was gonna say when I wanted to buy like turbo kit parts and stuff, there was this place in York. It was called like Top Speed or something, or something Speed, and you that was the only place you could go. And there was another one that was called Denko Parts. Denko Parts went out pretty quick because they were doing some shady drug deals out the back.
I bet they were.
But yeah, I'd go in New York City, and I was like right on George
You
Street
went to
there.
New York City?
No, York
Oh.
City. And
New York City.
it was like this,
Get the room.
like one thing, and they'd have a catalog, and you'd have to go in there and find the part, and then order it, and it'd take like 3 weeks to
Yeah.
come in and shit. It wasn't no 2-day Prime.
No.
You know, you couldn't shop around. It was like that was the place you went,
Yeah.
and you paid whatever jacked up massive price you. I remember paying like an autometer gauge. It was like $250. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Really?
I remember
It was
looking
in
through
the
the
catalog.
catalogs. That was it.
Yeah.
We ordered, I think it was like McNews was one of them. That
The
had
Summer
catalog.
Racing was one.
Yeah, Summit was around for a while, but yeah. I guess it was just, I don't know. For me, I think back and I'm like, man, that was like fun. That was, you know,
Well, I
really
remember.
cool.
We had a place called Pick Apart. I remember I had to get something fixed in my car. It was pretty severe. The guy was telling me, and I was like, he was a like Spanish guy. He's like, you need not to be racist, but either way,
Which you are.
I was like, I'm from Texas. I tell everybody, I was like,
You got to act
it was.
out.
I was like, Hispanic is the majority. It has been for like 20 plus years. But either way, we went to the guy. He was like, "You need this, that." He said, "It'll cost you however much." He was like, "Probably like $300." But when you're making $800 a month, that's a pretty severe chunk. Plus the labor and parts, or whatever. I mean, labor. I was like, where? Do you know a junkyard? He said, "Oh yeah." I went to a place called Pick Apart, and the guy was like, "All right, if you can get off here." I had no tools, nothing. I called my cousin. We had a screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a hammer. And something, and it was just like, luckily, it was like the part was good enough, but like it had been sitting out of rain, so it rusted. So it was just like banging on different parts again. It was like we just walked out, and the part that was gonna cost $300, it was like got it for like $50.
It was an adventure.
Oh,
I loved
man.
doing that stuff.
It was fun.
I was like, and I was never a car guy. I wasn't the guy. Like you said, what you guys talking about? Oh, that's pretty awesome. I was like, but I never
Worst
did that
part
except for that time.
about that is bees.
Yeah. Oh,
Little
yeah.
yellow
Really?
jackets. Yeah, you'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
like tearing something apart, and all of a sudden, like, and you're like, oh shit.
Yep. Snakes, bees. Yeah, there
It's
was
not like you had a
wildlife there.
can of bee spray with you to be like, oh, never thought of that. You know,
You know what's also funny? And I think, did I tell you this? I don't know if we had this conversation, but I was listening to, I had a guy at work. I was like, I was listening to some older music, like from the 90s and 2000s, some earlier rap. And I was like, DMX. Love DMX. I was like, when he came out, I was like, man, this guy's amazing. I also didn't realize he was like 5'6". It's like
Yeah.
5'7". I was like, this, like Cat Williams said, like, this motherfucker must be 7 feet tall. Like his voice and everything.
Yeah.
Like, and it was like, he's so aggressive. Like the music, he's like, God damn it. I don't sell drugs, but I feel like I'm selling fucking drugs right now. Like, I'm going to kill a motherfucker too. Like, and we're going to have a party. So I remember I was listening, and I was listening like with my ears today. And he was just like, yeah. He was like, I remember, you guys remember the song called Stop Drop? Because
Yeah.
that's my.
Yeah.
shut him down, open up shop.
So at the end,
oh,
at the end of the song, the album version, he goes, "Talk is cheap, motherfuckers,"
Yeah.
and you hear him
Yeah.
shoot whatever. It was like, and I think going into the next song or something like that, he's just talking, right? Ad-libbing or whatever. He's like, "Fucking faggots," blah blah, and I was like, okay. Like, I kind of remember this. I don't remember it. It's like, and then it was like, "Faggot motherfuckers," blah blah. It's like, "Oh, faggots." I was like, "Oh shit." I
Yeah.
forgot we used to say that so
Yeah.
much.
No, he
And
had a
it's like,
couple songs like
oh,
that.
but then it was like on TV, and I was like, oh shit, they used to say gay and fag. I was like, oh shit. I was like, and I told, it was a black guy I was talking to. I was like, look, man, I'm gonna tell you one thing. Gay people, do you remember the word faggot? He was like, hey, I'm saying it too loud. I was like, exactly. We're black and we're worried about the word faggot.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And I was like, we need the fucking PR team for goddamn gay. I was like, faggot has literally been like, I see Steve, he's like, I don't know if I'm saying that one. Say that. But it's funny because it's like, they literally kind of, I won't say wiped it out, but they were like, I don't hear it in music anymore. Like, even a young, stupid little rapper or whoever, they don't say it. It's like, they might say gay or gay ass, but faggot,
It's because black people are starting to get canceled.
oh, no, not even that. No, they canceled y'all, and then y'all were like, wrap it up. It's like, but it's just amazing because I'm like, where faggot used to be on TV. I remember, what's the, not Archie, is it Archie Bunker? The one that was like, him and his wife was singing the song at the beginning of the show. Remember? It was him, Edith.
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah,
that?
it's an old
He
show from the
said
70s.
fag, queer, get
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah, he was
it was
a-
like, even on fucking the one that was the Jeffersons, stuff like that. Red Fox, Sanford
Oh,
Son.
yeah.
Like
Red
he
Fox.
said, he was saying the N-word on TV
Yeah.
back there, and I was like, and I remember there was shows, they were like, oh, even when like the kids was being bullied, like, you're a faggot. And they would say it on them like, they'd be like, hey, if somebody's making fun of you, dude, call this number, or do this. And I was like, boy, he used to say that word all the time. And they haven't wiped it out. But man, let me tell you, I don't hear it anywhere anymore. And it was a big part. Like, because people used to be like, oh man, we used to call each other faggots, but we didn't mean it like that, Like people are defending how they used to say it, but they don't say it now. Like, hey, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should say all the slur words, but it was just like, God damn it, that is fucking amazing how they wiped that word out.
That kind of like points out like the generational conflicts that like this country has, is like all these changes that are going on now, with like everything's politically correct and all this cancel culture.
What you just said, I don't mean to cut you, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
You're going to stay with it. What you just said, Picante, was it Picante, El Paso? What you just said, hey, like New York City, and I remember in the commercial they say, get the rope.
Yeah.
That commercial could never
it's
fly right now. And it's funny, I remember, because it used to run, I'm like,
Is that the salsa commercial?
yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be like, New York City.
Because it would be some little,
Maybe you
prissy
say
guy.
salsa.
Yeah,
It's
he'd be like-
salsa.
He's like, I got this, and it'd be like a regular jar. They'd be like, we use Picante around here.
Right,
And it'd be
yeah.
like, get the rope. And it's like, they couldn't do that shit no more. I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right. So when you go, a good portion of your lifetime in a certain generation, getting used to and numb to just a way of that culture, at that point in time, it's normal. It's not, no one's thinking anything more. And then all of a sudden you start, canceling all this and saying this is wrong, this is offensive. And it's like all the people that are still stuck there who find that normal, and don't see a problem with it whatsoever. It's kind of tough to like transition into understanding where the offense is, and taking it seriously, so that, it's just,
I've been called the N-word multiple times at those nursing homes by it was an 80-year-old woman who used to be my friend. And then one day I didn't give her, like I had peppermints or something. I could give
White
her.
woman,
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming.
No, but also they used those older ladies and older men when they were getting it. And it's funny because nursing, especially if it's not in the boonies and no fish where it's like a large predominant white area, but if it's more of like a I'll say culturally mixed area, the nurses are Caribbean, of some type of Asian descent. Very few white,
Filipino.
actually. Yeah, Filipino. I said very few white, and honestly, those two, like Caribbean and the Asian, and maybe Middle Eastern, but the first two, Caribbean, but I'm talking about like black women from Jamaica and or even African. And it's funny because I'm like, you got these really old racist people. And the only way you know they're racist is because when they get put in and that nurse comes in there, they're like, what the? I want to make another goddamn nurse. And you can hear them yelling, fucking bitch, nigga, bitch, nigga, bitch. And that one lady, she yelled nigga, bitch. I'm sorry, don't people see it. But she yelled nigga, bitch for like 5 minutes.
oh man.
And the lady was like, and she was, I mean, so much restraint. She was like, ma'am, we're just trying to get you up so you can eat and take a bath. And she's like, you nigga bitch, you better not fucking touch me. No. And she just kept going on. And the lady was like, She said, say it one more time.
See,
say that one more
If I would
time.
have been her, I would have been like, yo, you quit fucking around with that. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
But she was like, say it one more time. She was like, and she said it. She was like, all right. And mind you, it was like 3 or 4 people in there trying to help her. They were all black. They were all Korean black. And they were like, okay. And they walked out. They closed that door. And mind you, I was in this building for like an hour. I came back, and that lady all of a sudden is like, help, help, I need help. And they're like, what's my name? And they're like, you nigger bitch. Close the door. And, and it's funny because I was like, is that karma that you go a long time being like a fucked up person, and then you're surrounded by the people that you say it? Because I shit you not, I saw it so many times, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's pretty fucking funny. I was like, you spend all that time not liking a group of people, and now these are the people who are in charge of taking care of you.
When we saw Jim Brewer, this was like right in the start of the pandemic, actually.
Oh, really?
I
like him.
And he was in Carlisle, right down the street, and his show's little
spacey.
Yeah, little like out there. Like
he gets hot.
You got to know his like his characters he used to play in like Saturday Night Live or whatever it was.
He's real good at telling stories though.
Yeah, he's a good storyteller, but he was talking about how like retarded or that's gay.
Shit, that's another word.
I say retarded all the time. Like that's retarded.
Yeah,
that just means
it's meaningless.
Yeah, it just means that's stupid.
Yeah,
and if I say that's gay, that means that's dumb.
Yeah.
That's seriously, that's gay.
You're not trying to offend anybody in any which way.
I'm not saying that's retarded. Like that's stupid.
That's gay. I was like, that's pretty fucking.
That's good.
I'm not gonna. No, but I don't mean stupid. I mean some digging the booty stuff right there, boy. But go ahead.
But
well, yeah.
That's when you say butt fucking anyway.
Butt fucking anyway.
My buddies and I used to do that. But I'd be like, yeah, you know, what'd you say? Butt fucking? You butt fucking? Like butt fucking anyway. But yeah, I was like, I never meant any of that stuff, and he was actually on stage saying like, he was like, yeah, he's that's retarded. And then somebody's like got up and was like, no, and he's like, actually, yes, sit down. And then he just kept going, and people were like walking out, like
they were walking out.
Oh yeah, like I probably saw like 10 couples walk out of this show, and it's not a big
for saying retarded or just what he was saying in general.
Retarded and you know, gay and this, that, and the other, like just like stuff, having a conversation like we're having right now. Like he was making jokes out of it and like kind of like
a lot of people don't have that filter though to understand like the context of like how you mean it. They're just easily
the literal word they hear.
It's just the offense, you know.
Yeah.